drums in a band called Two Souffres.
I'm Riley. I sing in a band called Still Fighting. I play bass in a band called Isolation. And I got some stuff in the works, but we'll talk about that later.
I'm Jesse. I guess sing in a band called Stillbirth.
That ended.
Oh, fuck it is.
My name's Adrian. I play drums in Stillbirth, Ill-Fated, and Still Fighting.
I'm Cole. I play guitar and sing some sweet vocals in Still Fighting. I play guitar in Isolation.
It's an ever-changing thing. I'm getting old now. I'm going to be 35 this year, so when I got into hardcore, I think it was a lot different in the 90s than it is now. But, there's kind of like the roots of it, and then there's kind of like what it's become and all the genres that it's split off into.
We were all going to like other shows,
bad
other like
metal shows.
underground more so shows, like metal and just whatever shows. And then we all just kind of ended up finding other bands such as Come Kid, Holly Ground. No Fooling was around at that time. Figure 4.
That being said, you can also get to it through punk too.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's like many different forks in the road that you can take to get there.
We started out as more of an improvisational grind metal band, but have since evolved into a more hardcore band. To me, hardcore music is pure energy.
You have to be angry, and there has to be something wrong with your life.
Or you just hate.
There's this guy. Well, what? You don't have problems.
Well, I don't know, whatever.
Well, where do you work them out?
Hardcore.
Through music?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying, like, it doesn't have to be, everyone has to be angry. There's lots of positive bands in there.
Yeah,
I think
There
that's
is.
bullshit.
it's just
in my mind, that's bullshit.
it's a more aggressive genre of music than other genres.
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
10 years ago, and even before that, it was really strong, and there was a lot of good bands. But then, as with most youth-based subculture scenes, people grow up or get tired of it and move on, and which I kind of did myself to an extent.
There were, straight edge kids, not straight edge kids, skinheads, Christians, Muslims. Like it was just like a really broad spectrum of people that kind of wore who they were on their sleeve, but didn't let that get in the way of, that sense of community.
The local hardcore scene is making a resurgence.
A couple years later, next year kind of thing, or whatever, whenever the next wave happens, a bunch of them come in, a bunch of them take off, and only a few of them stay.
There were a lot more like political bands or bands that just talked about what they stood for or believed in or whatever, and I don't think you'll find that as much now. But at the same time, I think things are a lot more mainstream, and kids are able to get into it a lot more, because I know back then it was a lot harder to find out about new bands or different scenes, because you just wouldn't have had that point of reference, whereas now there's a lot of bands that could maybe fall under the term hardcore, but are definitely influenced by hardcore bands that you'll see on MTV and Much Music. So I think in that sense it's a lot more accessible.
Sometimes at shows, I guess outsiders or people who don't really know what's going on will wander in or come in. I guess there was a show last weekend where this happened, and this one or two guys came in and
Thought it was all fun and games.
were trying to
No.
muscle people around in the wrong way.
Get the fuck out or everyone here is gonna beat you up. Pretty much. Get the fuck out or everyone here is gonna beat you up. Get the fuck out! Fury of 5, eat that shit!
Peace.
What?
a fight, you know. Guy got punched in the face, and they went crazy.
If
There's-
you're
there's-
moshing and get hit in the face and hit someone in the face, that's okay. But if you hit someone in the face on purpose,
There's
It's not
moshing,
okay.
and then there's actually picking a fight
Fighting.
with someone. So I guess he didn't realize that it is a community.
or that's the
So
difference.
so when one person goes in there and picks a fight with someone that everyone there knows, it's gonna turn ugly for that person.
I made the decision to enter into a drug-free lifestyle before I really even knew what straight edge was. But after hearing the bands and hearing their message, I really grabbed on tight and saw that there was many other people like me, and a whole movement of them actually.
I am straight edge.
I am also straight edge.
I have got the straight edge.
We've had members that have been in the past, but yeah, nobody's straight edge and come back yet.
I've been straight edge for hold on. I have to do the math. I've been straight edge for 14 years.
Okay, so there's supposed to be 3 X's in straight edge, which are no smoking or drugs or whatever, and no drinking, and you're not allowed to have promiscuous sex. I personally don't do any of those things, but I know people who are a little more lenient on the promiscuity thing, which, whatever, I guess some people could get tempted by that.
In the hardcore scene, the two seem to be intrinsically connected. It seems as though when people decide to make one decision to clean themselves up, they look at every other possible way that they can keep their body free of unnecessary poisons.
I don't even take things like Advil or anything like that, but I think that's just a personal belief. Like, I don't think that has anything to do with straight edge.
I don't know. I just think it's different for everybody. Like, for some people, it's, you know, a much more personal thing. Like, maybe they grew up with, like, alcoholism in the family, and it's just something that I know for a lot of my friends, that's what, you know, wanted them to abstain.
The band Ill Fated,
Yeah.
which is a local straight edge band, which
Yeah.
me and Adrian, my boy Jazz Dave, my girl Nat are a part of.
Yeah.
That band was very straight edge
We
in
had,
the lyrics.
what, 9 songs, and they're all about straight edge.
But I think that's awesome, and that's
Yeah.
very represents Jazz Dave's personality
Yeah.
a lot and his beliefs. As for other bands like Still Fighting, Riley
straight edge.
personally writes a lot about drugs and things like that because that's what he likes to do. But you know what? That's cool.
I was in a straight edge hardcore band a few years ago, but that was when the straight edge scene in the city was still pretty strong. Now there isn't really anybody. There's just a few of us that still from the old days that are still sticking around. Yeah, it's not nearly what it was once.
The goal with the band was always, like, we never had any, like, huge goals. We're going to sell this many records, we're going to tour all these countries, but it was like we want to take it as far as we can kind of thing. So, yeah, I just started out, you know, doing local shows, and, you know, I guess we were at the right place at the right time for a lot of things. And, yeah, now we're, you know, we've toured, I don't know, probably like 40 different countries. You know, we've been lucky enough to, I think we're going back to Europe for our 14th tour this spring. It's just crazy how, like, you know, we went from, you know, just playing, you know, all ages shows here, and now we're you know, able to, you know, pay our bills and see the world at the same time.
Do I see my band in 2 years is a good question. Hopefully I do.
Hardcore and a career in the same sentence don't work together too well.
In a perfect world, I would love that, but it's not a very realistic goal considering the kind of music that I play. Being able to go on tour, make enough money to get to the next venue, to the next city, sell some records. That's all I really want.
Anyone can talk about any type of music and explain it, but you don't experience anything until you're actually there.
And you don't need to be part of it in there. You can just be standing in the back of the room and you feel every fucking bit of that energy that everyone is feeling in the front, in the bottom of your stomach. And it makes you want to just hit everyone and everything in the face.